My name is Daniel. I worked in a big company. It was a supply company. I was just a normal worker. Every morning I woke up early, kissed my wife Claire, hugged my kids and left for work. I took the same train. I sat by the window. I looked outside in silence. I thought about bills at work. I said good morning. I smiled at people, but no one really saw me. No one really cared. My boss was Mr. Allen. He was cold. He was loud and he didn't like me. He shouted in meetings. He pointed fingers. He called me slow. He called me useless. He never said thank you. He never said well done. He only said, fix this and don't mess up. People laughed sometimes. I kept quiet, I worked harder, I needed the job. I had a family to feed 2 small kids. My wife stayed home. She took care of them. I paid the rent, paid the bills. I bought food every week and prayed it was enough. My shoes had holes. My back hurt at night, but I said nothing. I just kept going. Claire asked me, "Are you okay?" I smiled and said, "I'm fine." Even when I wasn't at lunch, I ate alone. Just a sandwich. Just water and a few deep breaths. I looked at others talking, laughing loudly, enjoying breaks. But I stayed in my corner. They had friends at work. I had silence. I had stress. I had deadlines. Every hour was pressure. Every minute was work. Every second was fear. Fear of losing everything. Then one day it happened. I made a mistake. A small one in a file. Just a number was wrong. It could be fixed. It wasn't a big deal. Really? It wasn't. But Mr. Allen called me in. His face was angry. His voice was sharp. His words were final. "You're fired." He said, "Pack your things." And just like that, I was nothing. My hands shook. My face turned cold. I looked around the room, but no one looked back. I walked to my desk, picked up my bag, took a photo of my kids and left. No one stopped me. No one asked why. No one said goodbye. Not even a whisper. Outside it was raining. My jacket was thin. I walked slowly. My heart heavy and sore. The world felt bigger. The sky looked darker and everything felt louder. Louder in my head. My phone buzzed once. It was Claire. She asked, "Where are you?" I said, "Coming home." I didn't cry. Not yet. I didn't scream. I just drove. Each red light felt longer. Each street felt empty. And my mind was full of fear. At home, Claire opened the door. She looked into my eyes and she knew. She didn't ask questions. She didn't panic. She just held my hand and said, "We'll be okay." I sat on the couch. The kids were sleeping. The house was quiet and my soul was loud. I told her everything. Every word, every detail. And still she smiled. She said, "You didn't fail. They failed to see you. They failed to respect you. They failed to value you." She held my hand. She wiped my tears. She kissed my forehead and said, "Now it's our time." I looked at her. She was brave. She was calm. She was strong for both of us. And in that moment, something changed deep inside me. Something woke up. I was tired. Yes, I was sad. Yes, but I was not broken. Not finished. Not gone. Claire believed in me. And that was power. That was fire. That was hope. We didn't have money. We didn't have a plan. But we had each other, and that was enough. I said, "What now?" She said, "Now we start again." That night we didn't sleep. We sat together. We talked for hours. The house was quiet. Claire made tea. I drank slowly. We made plans. We dreamed with open eyes. We had no money, but we had ideas. We had courage. We had fire inside. I knew the supply world. I knew the clients. I knew the system. And I knew the problems. Claire looked at me. Her eyes were soft, but her voice was strong. She said, "Use what you know." I said, "But we need money." She stood up, walked away, came back with a box. She opened the box. Inside was her jewelry. Old but shiny, special and saved for years. She said, "Take it. Sell it. Start small. Build slow. We'll figure out the rest." I didn't want to do it. I felt guilt. I felt shame. But I saw her smile. She believed in me more than I did. More than I ever did. And that gave me strength. The next day, I sold the jewelry. I got just enough. It wasn't much, but it was a start. I bought a laptop, printed cards, got a phone line, and rented a tiny desk in a shared office. It was small. The room was gray. The chair was old. The table wobbled. But it was ours. It was mine. It was real. It was something. I made calls. I sent emails. I contacted old clients. Most didn't reply, but one did. He remembered me. He said, "You worked hard," and gave me a small job. That small job paid little, but it felt big. It felt like hope. It felt like breath. I worked day and night. I checked everything twice. I packed the order myself and delivered it. The client was happy. He told another client and then another. And soon I had 5. Claire helped too. She answered phones. She made lists. She organized papers and brought food. Some days were slow. No calls came. No orders came. Only silence. I sat there thinking, what if I fail? What if I fall again? What if this was a mistake? But then Claire would walk in, bring coffee, kiss my cheek and say, "Keep going." Her words were like light, soft but strong, and they kept me moving, one small step at a time. Weeks passed, then months. The work grew slowly, little by little, job by job. We bought a better chair, a second desk and a small shelf for files and supplies. Clients liked us. They said we were honest, fast, careful, and easy to talk to. We didn't promise too much. We just delivered with heart, with care, with pride. One night we were counting coins. We paid rent, paid bills, had some left over. Claire smiled and said, "Look how far we came." I smiled back, my eyes wet. We still lived simple. The kids still shared a room. We still cooked at home, but we were okay. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel weak. I felt alive. I named the business D&C Supplies, D for Daniel, C for Claire. It was ours. We made a logo, printed flyers, built a website. It was simple, but clean. I wore the same shoes, but I walked taller because now I was building something real. Every mistake taught us. Every delay tested us. But we didn't stop. Not once. One day we got a big client, a real company, a real chance, a big deal. I was nervous. My hands shook, but I smiled. I spoke clearly. I believed in our work. They signed the contract. They gave us a month of orders and it changed everything. We bought new equipment, hired one helper and opened a tiny warehouse in the city. The kids noticed the change. We got them. Better shoes, better bags, warmer coats for winter. Claire bought new pans, a new kettle, and fresh curtains for the living room. Window. We didn't become rich. Not yet, but we felt stable. We felt proud. We felt human again. And at night, I looked at the ceiling, closed my eyes and whispered, "Thank you." But life wasn't easy. Not always. Some days were hard. Some nights were long. Clients changed minds. Deliveries were late. The truck broke down and storms came. But we faced it all. Hand in hand. Not with fear, but with faith and with love. We learned how to lose, how to fix, how to wait and how to try again. Now we had a dream. Not just survival, not just money, but something bigger. We wanted to build a company that was different. Honest. Fair. Kind. We wanted people to feel seen. To feel heard. To feel safe at work. We wanted to be the bosses we never had and create a space full of respect. We worked every day. No breaks, no holidays. Just work and hope. Claire woke up early, packed lunch, checked emails, called clients. I'd planned deliveries, sent invoices, fixed small problems and drove long hours. Sometimes we forgot to eat. Sometimes we laughed. Sometimes we just sat in silence. The small warehouse was busy. Papers everywhere. Boxes stacked. Phones ringing. We had one worker. His name was Joel Young, but smart, fast and loyal. He worked hard, stayed late, asked questions and learned quickly. I liked him, he reminded me of me. Quiet, but full of fire. One day I walked in. Joel was sweeping, humming a song, smiling to himself. I said, "You okay?" He said, "Yeah, I like it here." And I smiled back. That moment stayed with me deep inside because I knew how it felt to be respected. To feel safe. To not be afraid. At work. More clients came. Orders doubled. Our name spread slowly, word by word. People said D&C is solid. They care. They deliver on time. They're fair. We didn't spend much on ads. Our work spoke loud, louder than money. Trust was our currency, and we earned it. One client at a time. One month was very busy. 2 busy orders piled up. We had delays. I panicked. Claire stayed calm. We made a list. We called every client. We said sorry. We offered discounts. And we stayed late. Very late. Joel brought coffee. Claire made sandwiches. We worked until 3 a.m. We finished it all, delivered everything. Not perfect, but honest and real. Clients thanked us. One even said you're the only company that calls back. That meant everything to me. Because respect was the thing I never got. Now I gave it freely, fully. And it came back to me like light. We hired 2 more people, Sarah and Tom. Kind souls, smart minds, big hearts. We trained them, paid them fairly, listened to them, and shared meals together. We were not just a team. We were a family. A real one made of care. We celebrated birthdays, small wins, new clients, and even quiet Fridays at home. Things changed little by little. We painted the walls, bought a new sofa. The kids were happier. They smiled more. Their shoes fit. Their backpacks were full. Claire looked less tired. She laughed more. She sang in the kitchen again. And I felt proud. Not of money, but of peace. Of home. Of balance. Then something crazy happened. I got an email from someone I knew. It was from a big company. And inside was a name I remembered. Mr. Allen, my old boss. The one who fired me. The one who broke me. His company was failing. Deep in debt. They needed help. They were sinking. I stared at the screen. My heart raced. My hands froze. Time stopped. Claire walked in. Saw my face. Asked, "What's wrong?" I showed her the email. She read it slowly, then looked at me, smiled and said, well. I didn't know what to do. I felt a storm inside, old pain waking up. We talked about it for hours into the night in whispers and silence. Should I ignore it? Should I help? Should I walk away or say yes? It wasn't easy. Not for my heart. Not for my pride. Not for my past. But Claire said this isn't about him. It's about you and what you've become. The next day I replied. I asked for details. I acted calm, clear, kind. They sent reports, numbers, files, and photos of the company I once knew. It looked broken. Old machines, tired workers, long delays, short tempers. The same walls, same rooms, but a different energy full of fear. Was full of weight. They wanted a meeting. I said yes and walked into the office. I once feared. The receptionist looked tired. The hall smelled old. The lights flickered above. I walked down the same hallway, past the break room, past my old desk. I stopped for a second, breathed deep, and kept walking slow and steady. Mr. Allen was waiting. He stood up, shook my hand. His eyes looked heavy. He said, "You've done well." I said, "Thank you." And we sat in silence for a second. He explained the problem, the numbers, the losses, the struggle to survive. Then he said, "Would you consider buying us?" And the room went still. I looked at him, at the man who once fired me, who made me feel small. But now he looked tired, unsure, like a man holding broken pieces. I didn't feel hate. I didn't feel joy. I felt something strange. Peace. I said, "Let me think." And I walked out into the sunlight. Into the wind. That night I told Claire. She nodded. She had already guessed. She always knew. We sat by the window, holding warm mugs, looking at the stars in silence. She said, "You don't owe him anything. But maybe this is your moment." I thought of Joel, of Sarah, of Tom, of every worker who needed better. And I knew then this wasn't about revenge or pride or proving anything. This was a door opening, a full circle, a way to change something broken. To fix what hurt me. To protect others. To do what he never did. I looked at Claire and said, "Let's buy it. Let's fix it. Let's build it right." We signed the papers just like that. And the company was mine. Not just a name, not just walls, but the whole thing full of ghosts. I walked in again. This time different. Not as a worker, but as a builder. Claire was with me. Joel. Too. We stood at the front, looking around. The place was quiet. Dusty corners, sad faces, tired eyes watching us. Some workers didn't smile. Some looked afraid. Some looked confused. I understood them deeply because I once stood where they stood. No one told them the truth. No one asked how they felt. Not ever. I called a meeting. Big room, plastic chairs, old projector, buzzing lights. I stood in front. My voice shook. My heart beat fast, but I spoke clearly. "Hi, I'm Liam," I said. "And I used to work here long ago." That got their attention. Heads turned. Eyes blinked. A few leaned forward. I told them the truth. No fake smiles, no big words. Just real talk. "I know this place was hard," I said. "I was treated badly too. But now it's going to change." I said, because I know how it feels. Some didn't believe me. Some looked down, but some smiled. We cleaned the office first together. No orders. Just action. Hand in hand. Joel painted the walls. Sarah brought snacks. Claire fixed the old lights. I helped with boxes, lifted chairs, scrubbed floors, and joked with the team. No one was too good to clean. Not even the boss. Especially the boss. We changed the rules. Simple ones. Human ones. About time, breaks and respect. No more shouting. No more fear. No more silence and pain or unfair pay. We gave everyone contracts. Clear hours, fair wages, full lunches, and rest. It wasn't magic, but it was real. And that alone was something huge. Slowly the mood changed. Voices grew louder. Faces grew lighter. Steps got faster. People talked more. Shared story. Laughed again. Helped each other. One worker said, "No one ever asked me how I'm doing until now." I almost cried right there, but I just nodded and said, We see you. The machines were old. We fixed them one by one with time and care. We hired experts, trained the staff, asked for feedback, and listened close. One woman, Maria, said, "I've worked here 10 years. No one ever asked what I think." We made her a team leader and the others followed her with pride. Claire managed HR, organized files, made a suggestion box, brought plants to the hall. She talked to every worker new, every name, even birthdays, even allergies. Joel trained the new hires, told them, "This place is different. Now you'll see." I stayed on the floor with them every day. Every hour. Sleeves rolled up. Clients noticed the change orders were faster, cleaner, better. With fewer mistakes. They called us, thanked us, said, "We feel it. You care and it shows." We didn't brag. We just worked quietly, steadily, proudly. Like a real team. I started getting letters, thank yous, photos from workers, kids, drawings, and notes. We had meetings every Friday. Short ones, but full of laughs, updates, and applause. We clapped for small wins, for on-time orders, for kind acts between workers. One man, George, fixed someone's bike after work and we gave him a gift card. Not big things, not money, but respect, love, and being seen. In one meeting I asked, "What do you need to do better?" And they answered honestly, bravely. Clearly not scared anymore. They asked for better tools, more breaks and heat, help with transportation. We made it happen. Slowly but surely. One promise at a time. After 6 months, the company looked new, felt new, moved with purpose. We got a visit from a big client and they said, "What happened here?" I smiled and said, "People happened. When you respect them, they rise." That phrase spread, got quoted online, and brought in more work. The team was proud not just of me, but of themselves, of each other. They wore clean uniforms, walked tall, joked with the guards, smiled at lunch. Some brought kids to see the office, showed them their desks, their tools. That's when I knew this wasn't a company anymore. It was a home. We started giving training not just for work, but for life. Computers. Budgeting. English. Claire organized it. Local teachers helped. Even the older staff joined in. One man, 50 years old, wrote his name for the first time. Cried with joy. We gave him a frame with that name. And everyone clapped. Loud and long. We started saving. Building more, dreaming bigger. Thinking forward. Not for power, not for money, but for people. For growth, for legacy. We wanted this place to last, not just as a job, but as a symbol that you can fall, get up, forgive, and build again. Stronger. Kinder. One morning I arrived early. Sun rising, air still, quiet everywhere. I walked through the factory. Smelled coffee. Heard soft music. Saw clean floors. Workers waved at me. Some joked. Some just smiled. I smiled back. My heart felt full. Not heavy, just full. Like peace. Like home. In my office I sat down, looked around. Saw my old photo on the desk. It was me and Claire. Year 1. Tired but smiling, side by side. Next to it was a small note written in kids' handwriting. It said, Thank you for helping my dad smile again. Love, Mia. That hit deep. Made me pause. Made my eyes blur. Made me breathe slow. I remembered my mom, her tired hands, her soft voice, her quiet strength. I remembered my old shoes, the laughs at school, the lonely walks home. And now here I was. In this chair. In this life. In this moment. Joel knocked, came in, said meeting in 5 and handed me my coffee. He looked confident. Happy? Like someone who found his place. Found his worth. Sarah joined us later. Tom, Tu and Maria. All full of ideas, full of light. I didn't lead the meeting. They did. And that was the real success. Later that week we had visitors, students from a local school, curious and bright. We gave them a tour, showed them machines, answered questions, laughed together. One boy asked, "Were you always the boss?" And I smiled and said, "No. I used to be like you." I said, lost. Small but full of hope. The kids clapped at the end. Some hugged us. One gave me a drawing. It was of a tall man with a cape, standing beside a factory, smiling wide. It said hero under the drawing. And I didn't correct it. I just thanked him because maybe, just maybe, kindness is the real superpower. Quiet, steady. Real. That night, Claire and I walked. Just us. No phones, no noise, just the stars. She held my hand, leaned on my shoulder and whispered, "You did it." But I shook my head. Said, "We did it." And she smiled. Like always. She said, "Your mom would be proud." And I closed my eyes for a moment at the gate of the factory. There's a new sign. Bold letters. Simple words. It says respect builds everything. And below it, our company name. People stop to read it. Some take photos. Some just nod and smile. And every time I see it, I remember where I started and why I never stopped.